Hi, I'm Jillian. I'm playing Bug Boucher, the scary himbo with a sword, and it's alright to be here.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm playing Lucky Lacroix, the curmudgeonly cook, and it's good to be here. I don't need a joke. I'm comfortable with who I am.
Hi, I'm Jory. I'm playing Mercy Barnum, who is totally trustworthy, and it's good to be here.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm your MC. That's MSEA, Master of the Seas. And it's good to be here. Welcome to Many Realms.
You are the infamous crew of the Guillotine, a large galleon ship that the crew of your captain Hookeye won in a game of cards. Jameson, whose name is no longer spoken on the ship, claimed that it was in fact he who won the game of cards, and therefore he was entitled to the ship and not Captain Hookeye. Jameson was then summarily asked to leave, as the captain tells it, but you've seen enough deckhands depart the Guillotine to know that no one abandons its crew with their head still on their shoulders. Make no mistake, though you are a rowdy bunch, you certainly aren't the most feared pirates of the seas. The name The Guillotine is mostly a facade made to sound a more terrifying presence than you actually are. You're big fishes in a small pond. When you venture out too far, all of a sudden the name Hookeye starts to evoke belly laughter rather than fear. And that is exactly where you are going these next 2 weeks, far and away, to receive a treasure. Now let's meet some of the raggedy bunch, the motley crew of the Guillotine. Let's start with whoever is youngest or tallest, whichever you guys want to go by, goes first. Let's go by heights. Whoever's tallest goes first.
I think Bug's probably the tallest.
Yeah, so Bug Boucher is a tall hunk of muscle. It's got blonde, flowing hair and like a very kind of baby face, I think. But don't be fooled, of course. Bug is very, very, very well known for swordsmanship. They definitely have a reputation for being pretty ruthless when it comes to combat, but they're also the first person to like start the drinking songs, just like big himbo boy toy energy, like a little bit of Elle Woods, but like not the smart way.
All right, next in the tallest order.
I am playing Lucky Lacroix. He is the cook on the Guillotine. He is an older pirate. He's probably in his mid-40s, and he is just a miserable, spiteful, hateful piece of shit. Ever since Hookeye fished him out of the drink when he was barely 10 years, his life has just been unending heartbreak, misery, accident, illness, a bizarre and strange collection of rashes, and he's resented the world for his misfortune ever since. But he likes Hookeye well enough. He has a reasonably comfortable life on the ship. No one really asks him to do anything, so he spends his time in the kitchen, drinking heavily, and new character trait added. He plays the accordion and sings very badly.
Good.
Nice. And is distinctly medium tall.
Yeah, sort of, if you had to put him right in the middle there.
What is Lucky's opinion of actually being on the Guillotine?
I think it's all he's known. I get the sense that it's like kind of his one safe place, and every attempt to ever like try a different form of life or meet new people has always ended in catastrophe for him. So he's retreated back. He's very safe on the Guillotine. Okay,
now for the shortest.
So short, a whopping 4'9", I guess, is Mercy Barnum, who is probably pretty new to the ship, I think. I think she's maybe only been here for, what's new? Weeks or months or years?
I'd say like a year's pretty new, because I mean, you know, how long you're out at sea is pretty significant if my pirate lore and history serves
If
me.
the special features in the Pirates of the Caribbean DVD.
Yeah, I see you did your research.
Scholarly, you must have went to pirate college.
So she's been here on the ship for just about a year, and she is pretty well liked. She's like taken to pecking someone every day to like shadow. Like maybe one day she'll follow Lucky around in the kitchen and like prove herself.
That fucking chance. Get out of my kitchen.
No? Okay, then she'll learn not to do that and not come back.
She'll learn what happens when you bother Lucky in the kitchen.
So maybe she follows Bug one day and like is like, teach me how to sword fight, and like endears herself to people that way.
Okay, so Mercy is basically warming up to everyone, still kind of finding her place on the ship. We'll probably meet some other raggedy bunch along the way, but the other notable character who is also technically, I guess, a player, is Captain Hookeye himself, who is an odd fellow with an even odder temperament. He's unpredictable. He might scold you for enjoying the color blue one day, then paint the cabin door just the same color. Though he took all of you in at some point or another, he's never asked you for more than your loyalty. He's fed you, clothed you, sheltered you, and in some cases, acted as a father to you. Though you have seen how he is the butt end of jokes among the rowdier bunches in the sea, you have seen how, when he believes he is alone, his eyes glaze over with a sadness that the shelter he provides you is one made of glass, prone to shatter under the might of another any day now. You all have a special treasure in tow, locked inside of think of the most cartoonishly treasury chest, Legend of Zelda stuff. It's locked away. You guys don't know what is inside of it. However, you do know that Captain Hookeye knows what it is. And what you are doing is you picked up this, and there is, in 2 weeks' time, a meeting out at sea with all of the great pirate captains all coming in to discuss. You don't know. But what you do know is that you're crashing the party. And Hookeye was not at all considered among the best and brightest and, well, I guess most dastardly of the sea. But you're going all the same. And so you set out to your destination of seeing these pirate captains for reasons unknown. Now, the gameplay of the Jewel of the Sea itself is the captain, myself, rolls a d6, and it has an outcome that is corresponding with each number, and then the captain basically paints a nice, lovely improv situation from the loose prompts, and these lovely ship crew then get to play in the sandbox of my design. And the first thing we get is actually probably good, is calm seas. You set out on the first day of your trip, and as any, good sailor knows, the first day, that is what determines the rest of the trip. And today is a good omen, because today the sun peeks through the clouds, you can bask on the deck. We got everything that you could need. Hopefully it lasts, but right now, spirits are high. Everyone is in a good place.
I would love to do a scene. Well, I kind of feel like Mercy is the most instigatey of our cast right now. What is your angle when you hear that we are going to a big pirate high school reunion, pirate college 5-year?
I mean, that sounds like as good a place as any to make a name for myself. So it's just about positioning myself between now and then as, I don't know, somebody who they should take a note of. But for now, it's about finding someone to get some info from. I feel like of the crew, is Lucky like the de facto first mate?
I definitely have some seniority for having been on here for a long time, but I also don't like doing stuff.
Right, but I would say that's fair.
It's a calm day, so after we've been served a very underwhelming stew or whatever, I'm in the rigging. You know how they kind of hang out in the rigging? I'm coiled up in the rigging and I'm playing shittily my accordion.
You're not good at the accordion, you just play it.
I'm not good at anything, babe.
I guess
you gotta know
fair.
that now. It's not a good time with Lucky.
Alright, so I'm gonna maybe hop onto a barrel, listen to you play for a moment before maybe picking up the courage to interrupt you because I know you're not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you know more about this trip than the rest of us.
Pipe down, lass. Can't you see I'm trying to practice? I know we're pirates, for Christ's sake, but were you raised in a barn? No manners to you.
I'm awfully sorry to interrupt. We're setting sail. It's a beautiful day. I thought maybe you know a little bit more about where we're going than the rest of us. It's a pirate congress? What's that about?
Cool. Well, I like Pirate Congress.
I like that.
Yeah. It sounds very, very gubernatorial. Lucky casts his eye down on you, squints, and he spits overboard. He says, I can tell you're green. You never been to a pirate congress before? Why, I'm sure you only just screwed on your sea legs half a year ago. Is that right?
I've been at sea my whole life, sir.
Well, then I'll tell you that every sea dog worth her salt knows about the Pirate Congress. Only once every 5 years do the 10 great pirate lords and ladies of this blue ocean get together to swap stories, make deals, trade treasure, and plot the course of our fine sort of pirate society I'm rapidly kind of shading in here.
I know all that. I went to pirate college. I've never heard of Hookeye being invited.
Well, maybe it's time the pirate lords started to respect the guillotine and everything we offer and all of the power we command. I stole this accordion from a kid. A tough kid. He was strong. He could slap me pretty hard. But I didn't let that scare me. I took it, and it's my plunder by right. And that's the kind of might we wield here.
If we're going there to demand some respect, then maybe we should go there with something worth demanding.
What's your game, Barnum?
We're going to be going through some populated waters. Maybe got just a little bit more than the treasure we're already hauling.
But Hookeye ordered us to steer clear. We're not to be plundering and looting until next month we filled up our quota. You're not suggesting we violate quota, are you?
The quotas are pretty sparse. I feel like we can get a little bit ahead of it.
So you're trying to convince Lucky that we should be raiding more ships on our way in order to kind of stir up attention for ourselves.
Yeah, going with a splash.
I'm gonna, I think, come down hard just to start moving this up. I'm gonna say, Our dear Captain Hookeye gave us our orders for a reason, and if you think you know how to run this ship better than he does, you've got another thing coming.
Do you say that loud enough for people to hear? Are you shouting this?
Yeah, I'm getting upset. And I say, I don't know why you'd waste both our time coming to me with these outlandish proposals. I can barely hold a sword. You might as well ask brain-dead Bug over there to lead your next crusade.
At this point, the crew who is doing stock and making sure taking care of all of these ropes. Just so many ropes on ships. They gotta wrap them and pull them and throw them.
I think this one's new. Where did it come from?
Yeah, everyone has now taken note of your conversation.
Now, I never said to go against the captain. I'm saying that the guillotine deserves more respect. Like you said that. And there's a few ways we can get that, and some of those ways are to gussy up a little bit. Get a little bit more treasure. Get a little bit more blood on our hands.
Getting respect for a ship's the job of a ship's captain. And if you were worth your salt, you'd know that. And piss off.
All right, Lucky. Have a great afternoon.
I've never had a great afternoon in all my afternoons.
Maybe I throw a coin into a cup or something as if you're a busker on the street.
Whose cup is that? Why have you tainted that person's cup?
Is that from a young boy too?
I stole that young boy's cup. I stole his accordion. Little Geppetto's having the worst day of his life.
Not Geppetto.
Mercy, as you walk away from this situation and the eyes that were glaring at you now start to return to their tasks, and when you glance up towards the captain's quarters and the nice lovely pane window that he likes to stare out over at all of you on the deck, you lock eyes with him for a moment.
I smile and I wave before carrying on with my day.
He smiles back. Bug.
We need some Bug.
Well, you've overheard quite a bit, and I believe there was some type of insult hurled your way somewhere in there. So there's some stuff going on.
Yeah, I was called Brainless Bug. But here's the thing. I don't understand Lucky when he talks. Because he's always going on about dogs and salt and why are the dogs salty? Like, I don't get it. So I think a lot of that went over my head. Like, the insults don't stick because I'm mostly just confused. So I don't know. Maybe I try and ask like Mercy, like, what what's Lucky on about now?
I just mentioned that we could, have a little bit of adventuring on our way. And he went off.
Because I heard you talking about more treasure and more fighting.
And wouldn't that be fun?
Those are my two favorite things.
I know. And he says no. Why not?
Because he's no fun. Lucky's never had a day of fun in his life. He doesn't know how to have a good time.
Exactly. I was just proposing, why don't we show him a good time?
Hey, I like how you think.
Okay. Well, I believe that will be our first setup. As you've had your nice calm before the storm. Well, storm's not the next one, but you had a calm before what could be a storm. You continue for a few days and nights uninterrupted on your long journey, eating bread, maybe sometimes one fruit to stave off scurvy. However, on the fourth day, late into the night as the sun is setting and it is a nice golden hour, as Bug is staring out over the deck, perhaps with a drink in hand, they see a big shadow. It starts about the size of, well, let's say a shark. That's an easy one for everyone in the pirate world to understand. But it keeps getting bigger and larger, as if moving towards you until it eclipses the entire boat beneath you.
Bug's doing like the Captain Morgan, looking over at the side of the boat. Not being very smart. I think Bug is like looking up, like, what is casting the shadow? Is there something over top of us? Like, what is happening? And Bug will just like call out, hey, what's bigger than a shark?
2 sharks.
A whale.
Okay, there might be a whale around the boat.
And boom, big crash rocks the boat. As you, Captain Morgan, over the side, as you said, you are going to have to make sure that you stay on. I believe that would be resolve.
Two.
Well, Bug dies.
2. You fall into the shadowy water. And as you plunge through the watery depths, what you see are eyes in pairs all over. All of them staring at you intently, wide-eyed. They don't have lids, so they stay perpetually open as they stare at you through the darkness. And what was the shadow is actually a culmination of inky human bodies that are all shoulder to shoulder, as if they're at some kind of like Metallica concert or something, and they're all staring up at you, reaching up, trying to come and get you. Now they're still farther down than what you initially thought. They're not quite at the surface, but they are gaining traction on you, and of course the ship is still moving, so you need to be saved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Bug's trying to have like a staring contest.
Love that.
Well, above water on deck, I'm sure the ship alarm bells are ringing, and we are throwing a rope over to try to get Bug to get on. We gotta swashbuckler overboard.
You hear a voice, you know it to be the voice of Doobie, the brother to Luby, shout out, "Captain! Man overboard!" "Yeah, boss, one of them's overboard. I think it's Bug, boss." And Captain Hookeye emerges from his chambers, wide-eyed as he sees this giant shadow coming beneath him. And he says, "Someone get a rope out there!"
I am the hottest one on board, so I hope there are big efforts to save me.
Of course.
For that reason,
yes.
To maintain a certain level of hotness.
Otherwise, we wouldn't even try.
The average would slip down. It'd be bad. Lucky, because it's after like 7 p.m., is blind drunk and snoring loudly in his hammock in his cabin. But when the bells start ringing, he staggers out onto the deck and he snatches up a big, thick rope. Because he loves ropes and rigging, and that's sort of established for him. And he's going to, work with Luby and Doobie and try to launch a rope over the side of the ship to where they saw Bug go under.
And you throw. That will be, I think, also resolve.
That's a 10 on my resolve roll to throw the rope in.
Amazing. You tell me what happens.
I think Lucky is like drunk and doesn't care, but I do think that the decades of experience on the ship have made him like a pretty good pirate from a mechanical standpoint.
When he needs to be.
When he needs to be. He's used ropes. He has the D&D 3.5 skill use rope on lock. And so it's like Luby and Doobie are just kind of like, I think one of them is like just keeping him upright as he's sort of swaying on the deck. And the arm just fires, the rope goes down, and I think after a few seconds you see Bug break the surface of the roiling ocean waves.
Okay, Bug, you emerge, and these hands at this point are tickling your toes. You've grabbed the rope, you're being dragged behind, so it's requiring a lot of effort to even just hold on, but you're starting to get reeled in by Luby, Doobie, and Lucky. One of them does get their hand around your feet, and Mercy, what you notice from perhaps the other side of the ship, you see more of these. They've actually encroached on your space much quicker on that side of the ship, and they're starting to scale the side of the ship up onto the deck. They're not quite on the deck, but they're making their way up.
Mercy will call for some help, and she wants to drop some stuff off the side of the ship. Maybe preserves?
You're going to throw the food overboard?
No, just the preserve liquid. And make it slimy and gross and hard to grab a hold off the side of the ship.
Something like that. Let's say you got to go grab it. It ain't going to just be chilling there for you. You got to go to Lucky's kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I also need enough, so I want to grab somebody, some crew member to come with me to help me out too. Also, so I have a witness for this heroic deed.
Well, Luby sees you going. Luby believes in his brother Doobie and joins you in breaking into Lucky's kitchen and getting this. Flash over to Bug, dangling for dear life as a shadowy hand clasps your foot.
Well, I think Bug was laughing when you pulled him up because he said the shadow was tickling my feet, and I think Bug's just kind of screaming and saying there's a shadow rave down there, and then none of them they're too good at staring contests.
Quit yapping and climb, Bug.
Okay, you're yanking Lucky, but it's going slow, and the bad thing, Bug, is that where this hand is now, as it climbs up, you're starting to feel a burning, acid-like sensation on your legs the longer that it grasps onto you. This is something that you need to get off you. Toot sweet.
Okay. Bug's shaking a leg and trying to kick it off, and it's like, oh, hey, that's not, hey, this was funny, it's not funny anymore, let me go.
I think you managed to shake at least one of its hands free. It's dragging through. It's now kind of become more physical as it gets above the water. The parts that are actually emerging have more of a hardness and more actual physical presence now. So the parts that are above are being dragged through the water, much like you, and it's having trouble getting another hold on you. At this point, you are getting kind of close, and we'll say that you're kind of actually hanging off the side of the ship at this point. You're safe from the water, safe from these shadowy figures, except for the one that is now being pulled up with you, and it will not let go. And despite your efforts to try and kick it, it's still hanging on.
Can I take the cleaver at my belt and throw it at the thing that's holding on to Bug?
Absolutely. Resolve. Go for it.
That is an 8 on my resolve roll to hit with the cleaver.
You throw the cleaver, and it embeds itself in the arm that is grasped onto Bug. And it basically slips all the way down to just trying to dangle onto its foot, or into Bug's foot, and then slips entirely and falls back into the shadowy sea as you manage to pull Bug up the rest of the way. On the other side of the ship, they're really starting to get up. You can see some of the hands start to come over the side as Luby and Mercy emerge. And obviously now that Bug is safe, Lucky clocks the brine as they lug it together. And what happens, Mercy?
I want to break the jar of brine on the edge of the ship like an egg so that it goes down the edge of the ship. And then I think there's lots and lots of these guys, right?
Let's say there's about 15 scaling the side of your ship right now.
So I feel like once they lose their footing, shooting him will be like shooting fish in a barrel. So I want to pull my gun out and just try and knock him off even more once they're like slipping and sliding and not paying attention to me.
Okay, well, I'll say that you can definitely get the slippy slidey. It's a good idea. Some of them immediately are obviously going to lose because now, again, as they come out of the water, they're physical, and it's a pretty smooth side to a ship, and you made it even, slipperier, and they don't have ropes or anything to scale, so they fall away. And two of them, though, seeing what you're doing, basically plunge their fingers into the side of the ship and manage to kind of hold themselves, and they're scaling very slowly. And you let out a shot. Mm-hmm. I don't know how good of a shot you are. Let's keep that resolve going.
7.
You shoot one of the two immediately, and you hit it in one of its hands as it's moving. It's climbing, so it only has one free hand, and you shoot the one that's holding all of its weight, and so it immediately loses balance and falls back into the ocean. However, because this is not a revolver, we're in pirate realm, unless you got another flintlock on you sitting there ready to go, which you very well could. I think Loopy tries to take a shot. He aims it true very well. And what you see, and he doesn't notice till after, is that the ball just falls out the front, and he pulls the trigger, and the powder goes off, but there's no more ball in it. And so it's a complete misfire. And he throws the gun at it, it bounces off, and it doesn't work, and it gets up over the ship. It is now on the deck.
I want to flip my gun around and try and knock it off the ship with the butt of my gun.
They were designed for that. That's wonderful. I don't want to keep doing resolve, so let's say that you do manage to give it a good old smack, and it staggers backwards and falls over on the deck of the ship. And you smacked it so hard that it just kind of lays there for a moment. And as you kind of hover over it, it seems to be weakened and seems to be unable to move further. You all, victory achieve, come around to try and examine this strange creature that you've never seen anything quite like this. And right now it sits there before you, a solid yet shadowy figure. It has a solid underneath, and then it's almost as if it's spewing out like a ink or a steam perpetually from its body as it spills out onto the deck of the ship and pours over the sides. For all intents and purposes, it seems to be either incapacitated or dead.
Bug always wants to overdo it, just wants to stick a sword through it. For good measure.
Okay. You stick a sword through its chest, and when you pull it out, the inky, terrifying blackness pours out. It flies as high as the top of your masts. It just erupts, and it's solid enough now, like a dark, dark blood, that it rains down on the ship. What was a nice, calm day prior, and everyone thought would be a good omen, is now seemingly overridden by it literally raining blood before the last drop hits the deck and all of the smoke dissipates, and the sun peers through the clouds again, and the shadow that was underneath your ship dissipates entirely.
Bug, you complete nincompoop. That was my best cleaver.
Hey, why is this my fault?
You fell off the ship.
Yeah, 'cause the shadow thingies knocked the boat.
A likely story. You were horsing around on the deck again, weren't you?
I'm not a horse.
I have nothing to say to that.
Captain Hookeye has observed this whole thing from outside of his cabin this time, and as whoever looks, presumably at some point you'll all see, that glassy-eyed look that you've become quite familiar that he has in more recent days is exactly what is on his face right now. He seems neither surprised nor terrified of the events that just transpired. He sits there staring quite stonily ahead, and wordlessly he just goes back into his cabin and closes the door gently behind him.
Yeah. Once this horrible monster is dissipated, I'll look down and bend and stoop to see what was on the deck, and then give a big and smell something salty spilled across the deck of the ship. And then I'll straighten up and turn around and I'll say, which of you sorry lot spilled my brine on the deck? Was it you, Luby?
I helped, but it was Almarty's idea. It was.
So this is the kind of things they teach you at pirate college, am I to understand?
Oh my god, this is canon.
Oh yeah, baby.
Lucky. there were, I think 12 of those monsters climbing up the side of the ship. And I was able to knock all but 2 off with just a couple barrels of brine. I think you'd rather have lost a little bit of smelly liquid than have had 12 of those monsters aboard ship. Do you think that we could have knocked all of them off?
Lucky screws his face up. He's really not taking a shine to Mercy and how she's been acting the past couple of days. He says, well, then in the future, I suppose you won't mind if I help myself to a couple of your pistols now and again without asking, seeing as we're such good buddies. And he turns around and storms in the direction of Captain Hookeye's cabin, muttering like, oh, wait till I tell the captain about taking the rations out of the kitchen.
Okay, Lucky. The shadowy, stormy, bloody, has settled, and you walk up to the cabin of Hookeye.
I open the door, and when I enter the cabin, there's a complete change of personality. I'm no longer all like crabby and mean. Instead, all of the color drains from my face, and I'm shivering, and I sit down at the little table in the cabin with my head in my hands.
Okay.
Captain, what happened out there?
I think you know what happened based on some conversations that we've had.
They're after us, are they?
For now. But soon they will be with us.
How are we gonna make it all the way to the Pirate Congress? We almost lost Bug. I mean, I kind of hate Bug, but we almost lost Bug.
Lucky, I do not know. What I do know is that we can't continue how we have been. We fight for the scraps of the sea, and that is not enough for a bunch like you. You are a good group of people. I just need you to have faith, as I know some on the ship do not have.
You seen it too. She's got a gleam in her eye.
Well, I have a plan for that.
Lucky stands up and he sighs and kind of drops his shoulders. He says, you've been a good captain. All the years I've been on here, even that time I spray painted the razor burn over the name of the ship on the side. You thought that was not very funny, but you let me do it. I trust you, Hookeye, but I ain't never seen a week like this, and I'm not sure what else will lie before us before we're through.
Oh, come now, Lucky. I think that now is the time for you to live up to your name.
He goes over to a cabinet that he has, his own little collection of the brief spoils that you have managed. These are not just, oh, here's my lovely wine. These are treasures. This wine that he's going to present you with, a couple bottles. They're not necessarily to nobles the best wine, but it's the best that you and probably anyone on the ship has seen, and it's not something that is even necessarily for status. It's a reminder, and he feels that now is the time. He's hopeful that there will be greater treasures to come.
Is he sharing a bottle of wine with me, or is he asking me to pour wine for the crew?
He uncorks it and shares a small amount with you first, and then asks you to distribute it and use it in whatever way you can, or at least just sparse it up to people. And he gives you some fruit, because scurvy.
I think when Lucky sees the bottle of Kraken's Tears 1712 vintage, his eyes get a little wet, and he looks up at Hookeye, who, after all this, has been a father to him and who he respects more than anything. And he sort of musters up the energy for a reasonably jaunty salute. And he says, thank you, Captain. I'll see to the crew now. Clumps out of the cabin.
And the food and drink is distributed to the crew.
Bug tells tall tales all throughout dinner about how those things were definitely after Bug. Like that is the reason Bug feels very special. They wanted me to join their inky black rave, and I had to prove myself with the staring contest and blah blah blah. So I tried to take my foot with them, and I said, no, you can't have it. Anyway, it's just like that. Like the whole time is just like a spectacle. It's the Bug show.
Well, as much as you embellish it and perhaps, bend the truth a bit, the fact is that there's already murmurs across the crew that you are the one that saw it, was attacked by it and survived, and ultimately, I know, defeated it, that plunged your sword through it. And it's something that definitely is going to be, if it manages to echo outside of the ship, that will be, a notch on your legend belt. So that resolved, tensions are growing out at sea, but again, this is not something that's entirely abnormal. However, Mercy, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mercy is not being particularly careful about some of her plans. Is this accurate?
I'm not being uncareful, but I will say the adventure we just had maybe quenched my thirst for like something more a little bit. Like the story of Bug that will get out is sure to turn a few heads, raise a few eyebrows. So maybe my story has switched to building onto Bug's tale and legend. And like, I'm not saying, oh, this is what I did, but I'm saying, oh, Luby grabbed the brine and like Bug did this. And the whole time Lucky was saying, no, Bug, don't use my cleaver. No, don't use the brine.
So are you just trying to keep morale up?
I try to keep morale up, but I'm also trying to spin a story,
Okay. With the goal of just kind of like increasing the notoriety for now yourself and Bug?
Lucky kind of is representing the captain in this.
Sure.
So I'm like talking up the crew and like, look how awesome we are. And like, these guys are holding us back.
I guess the ultimate question is, does Mercy want the guillotine?
Of course.
Okay.
I think that I could do a great job of captaining this ship.
Okay.
And I think it's pretty crappy of this captain to have us haul a treasure and not tell us what's in the box.
Okay. What we've gotten is friendly competition. Now, before we see what the captain makes of this, what I'm going to say is that, Lucky, you have at some points in the past week been called upon by Captain Hookeye, because he confides in you, for you to tell him what the morale is, what's going on the ship. To basically, you've had your ear to the ground more closely. What is the word on the street hull?
We're on the ship street.
And this will very much determine how this is interpreted.
Then I'm gonna say there's been ups and downs. They're pretty pleased with themselves for having fended off that strange man or a beast we encountered, but I think that Mercy's got a little bit too much of a puff in her chest. She's proud, lass, and she, well, I think she won't be happy until she's got a ship to call her own. And I don't think she's too particular about which one it is.
The only other thing then, I guess, is Mercy. You're also not, this isn't happening in a bubble for you either. Let's, for the sake of interest, say that the way that this is being interpreted is that these tensions, these things, this mutiny, if I dare say, is coming to a head. At this point, let's say you're aware, you had that confrontation that was very public with Lucky. You know that Lucky has gone into the cabin of the captain a couple times, and it would be, silly of you to not think at some point he has divulged some level of information and is somewhat, at least quietly, aware of what's going on. So you sense the heat on the back of your neck. And so the way that this friendly competition is going to be interpreted here is that whatever the situation is now reaching its tipping point. You guys are curious about the treasure. You've gotten people that have nodded along and said, yeah, like I agree with you. I agree with you. Maybe not directly outright said, yes, I support you, but enough that you think that if you want to make a move, you could make a move, or whatever it is that you want to do. But for all intents and purposes, we're way out at sea. We're getting quite close to the pirate conference, and as you said yourself, to go there for everyone, it presents an opportunity if they wanted to try to take it, and that would be the time.
I do think I want the leverage of no one what's the treasure before I don't know what would you do to like actually unseat a captain?
I don't know. You find out what the treasure is, and then you're like, hey, everybody, this guy's been harboring a treasure, and maybe that's why there's all these demons and whatever, and he put the whole crew at risk, and just you read him for filth,
So I think I'm gonna find Bug, who I think is receptive to my cause, or at least thinks Lucky's no fun, which is the same thing. We're 2 days away from the Congress, and we still don't know what we're hauling. Have you thought about that?
Bug thinks about it now. Bug likes to know what his treasure is, and it's like, Mercy. I think you're onto something here because, I like knowing what all the pretty shinies are up front, And, the captain's keeping it all to himself.
Really, it's part of the reason I love being on this ship is usually Captain Hookeye he likes to share the loot. This time, nada. So, I'm thinking if there's a way we can get him out of his office, out of his quarters is the boat word, then I could slip in there and see what the secrets are.
I could take my shirt off.
That works every time. Historically.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so let's get you right in this light right here. It's a beautiful beam of sunlight coming through the clouds right onto Bug, like a spotlight. And I'm just gonna back out of the way. Okay. Let Bug do their magic.
Okay.
He just looks so confused.
Let's go. Let's see. I love to learn. I love to play.
Okay. Bug is a bit of a clown, and I think stands up on a pile of crates, and takes their shirt off, and maybe is looking around for Lucky or some musical accompaniment, and is just gonna cause a scene. He's just gonna start singing and do a burlesque routine where he takes his shirt off.
I guess all things being equal, there's no reason why I wouldn't do a little accordion I'm too sexy for Bug to strut around on deck to. The crewmates are just loving this and
Hookeye's going to be pretty curious as to why no one's working, and why all things have seemingly stopped on the ship. And what he comes in with a scowl, looking like he's about to be angry, as you know him to be in types of situations like this. But it flees his face. It comes away, and it coils into a smile, and he sits there leaning against the mast as he kind of watches from afar.
Bug needs a volunteer. He's Captain, over here.
All right, Captain Hookeye is no stranger to partying and having a good time. Perhaps that's in part why you guys just aren't the most known pirates. He's just too much of a slacker in his younger days. So he comes over while this is happening. If Mercy, you want to try and see what's up.
Yeah, I want to try and sneak into the captain's quarters and take a peek at this treasure.
Okay. You open the sky blue door to the captain's quarters, and you creep in and you close it behind you. It's pretty nice. At the far side, there's those same paned windows as the front that look out on the deck, except it looks at the back of the boat, and so you can see the sea, and light creeps in from there. And obviously, there's blinds, but they're open today. He has a big desk with papers scrawled across, and all kinds of random notes and cards and drinks and scraps of food. It's not particularly well kept. He has the chest, which is in one far corner of the room. He has various cupboards and whatnot that have these wines and other knickknacks, some that you may be familiar with, some you have no idea where they're from. To you, we've only been there for a year. Some of them may even seem more like trash. Some of them may seem more like odd things to be keeping in glass cabinets. But other than that, it's pretty bare bones.
Yeah, I want to go straight for this chest. Maybe I rifle through his drawers to see if there's a key first.
You can find the key. It's right there in his cupboard. That's easy enough. Roll me fortune.
10.
You open up the chest, and inside is a cup that you recently had in our first act here. Now, because you've gotten fortune, you know that something is amiss. You've been somewhat duped. That Hookeye had heard some murmurs and has swapped out the treasure. However, you know, even though it's not here, it's a small ship, and it should very much be somewhere nearby.
Hopefully Bug's routine is still going. Maybe it's turned into a little bit more of a party.
Mm-hmm.
on a hunch, I'm going to try and sneak my way into Lucky's quarters.
You got sticky fingers.
You sneak your way into Lucky's quarters.
And I'm going to search.
Okay. Let's say you find a red jewel that seems a little bit nice for Lucky to have. Shines and seems to catch the light inside of it. You find a very, very old wine, something that is about as old as Hawkeye himself. You find a boot that is kind of just sitting on the floor next to Lucky's, I guess, slippers or something of the sort. And you find a very nice knife that in its handle has some really nice engravings and is clearly a artisanal work.
Did you end up taking anything from my room?
Yeah, I took the knife and the ruby.
Took the knife and the ruby. Okay, you return outside and join the party. Lucky is getting a little, I guess, impatient perhaps, playing for so long. You usually only go for probably brief stints of accordion playing,
Hurts the inner arms, yeah.
So the show kind of ends.
Sorry, what's the grand finale of Bug's act?
Well, it depends. Do I get any, signal from Mercy that, we're good, or, oh?
My signal is just, maybe getting you a drink. If that's my way of being hello, I am here. It is over.
It's over. Okay. I see that Lucky's getting tired. And so I start a song that doesn't need accompaniment and just get the crew to, clap. Yeah. Instead. And just go, full Lil Nas X and, give you a lap dance. Because you need to be shown a good time. If that's cool with you. Yeah.
You
Lucky.
Do the legs out. Yeah. Like I'm the Satan.
Yeah.
And you're the Nazax. Okay, sure. Yeah.
The plan went off without a hitch, except you did steal from Lucky. Now, I don't know if it's
I
the
love
things
to steal from Lucky. It's my favorite thing to do in this.
You're really testing my patience. The next morning, the morning of the Pirate Congress, as we're kind of on our way there, after breakfast, I want to pull Mercy aside for a chat.
Yeah. I crossed my arms and yes.
You had fun at the party yesterday, lass. Did you see when I got Lil Nas X'd?
Yes, that is the pirate term for that in the year 1600. Yeah, I had fun. You had fun, it looked like. I haven't seen you have fun before.
Well, it's not always I get the opportunity to clear my head a moment, so I enjoyed myself well enough, but when I got back to my room that night, I noticed a couple of things had been moved around. Things had gone missing. You wouldn't happen to know anything about it, would you?
You see, we're transporting this treasure, Lucky, and the captain wasn't quite keeping it where he said he was, and that made me suspicious. And I'm wondering, what's so special about what we're transporting?
Well, I suppose there'll be no satisfying you till you know the answer, is there? The Guillotine has come into possession of a very precious gem known as the Shark Eye Ruby. This ruby was transmutated from the eye of the most powerful and evil shark to ever roam these waters. And it's said that whoever carries the ruby with them in their hand, when the sun reaches its zenith, that's the highest point. Don't know if they did that in Pirate College, but it usually means 12 o'clock.
They did do
noon.
vocab.
Great, yeah. Whoever holds the Shark Eye Ruby in their hand, when the sun reaches its zenith and crushes it in their fist, will take on all of the powers of this mystical, dangerous shark. And it is Hawkeye's plan to announce himself the Shark King today at noon in front of the Pirate Congress and claim some respect for this godforsaken crew. Now, I know you wouldn't want to stand in his way, lass, would you?
Well, if it means more respect for the guillotine, that's all I want.
So unless you want this Pirate Congress to be absolute disaster, you best get that ruby back into Captain Hookeye's hand before the clock strikes 12.
The ruby will get where it needs to go.
I'm holding you to that. Sailor's promise. I spit in my hand and hold it out to you.
At Pirate College, we do a blood pact.
Okay, well, I lost my cleaver. You can thank Bug for that.
Jillian, I'll give you a chance if there's anything that, again, interpersonal you kind of want to resolve here before, I guess, our finale here.
Mercy didn't like tell me. I guess if I assume she was successful in her endeavors.
I'll find Bug and show you the ruby.
Whoa, that's a pretty shiny you got there.
And they were holding this up all for themselves.
Who?
Lucky and the captain.
Lucky too?
Yeah, I know. So unlike him to not want to share. Or extremely like him to not want to share.
Extremely like him, but I just still don't like that about him.
I mean, it's just a big jewel, right?
It's a little bit more than that. It's apparently a jewel with some power and some story behind it. So whoever comes into the Pirate Congress is gonna look pretty good. And there's gonna be some kind of conflict here.
You need a bodyguard.
I need a bodyguard.
And you need old Bug to help you out.
Absolutely. Lucky and the captain, who knows what they're going to say to defend themselves. And you're my person, you know? I need you to, stick with me through whatever nonsense is about to happen.
Yeah, just, I don't actually like sticky things, so,
I need you to stand with me.
Yeah, you got it. If anybody tries to come for Mercy, they'll be feeling my blade.
Well, that time is upon us. In fact, you're probably having this conversation with it in the, we're at sea, so way in the distance you see these pirate captains congregating. Not much longer after you are basically coming up upon them. The sun is getting very close to high noon, and you pull up between two ships, one adorned in a crimson red. They're all flying the Jolly Roger. Come on, we're pirates. In a crimson red, like a blood-stained looking deck. The one on your right is inky black, not unlike the shadows that you were fighting before. Some of the crewmates, but let's say captains actually, notice you, and you kind of are slotting into a space here. You're kind of just, popping your way in. You don't really belong. They address you, and let's actually say they hurl insults at you. So can I get Jesse first as the Crimson captain hurl some insults at either the crew or Hookai?
The pretty foppish captain on the Crimson ship giggles and looks down at the guillotine and says, "Oh, is this the mighty guillotine I've heard so much about? Tell me, did the brine smell come with the ship or did you add it yourself?"
So the way that this is actually sectioned is they're just floating at sea, and what they have is planks that basically make them one giant party boat connected by all of these planks, and they kind of walk and intermingle and meet on, whatever respective ship. And they're here for a while, the full day or maybe even a couple days and nights. It's both a party and revelry as well as, the politics of pirates. And you plow straight through one of those planks, the one, as they hurl these insults and expect you to perhaps stop, you do not. You break straight through, perhaps some people either falling onto the deck of your ship or into the water as you do, into the center of all 6 of these pirate captains. And you raise your sails and you drop anchor there in the center of all of them, demanding their attention. And at this precise moment, as they gesture and that they look at you and they wonder, what is this random ship? Some know the guillotine as punchlines to a joke, some don't know it at all, but nevertheless you are in the center. You are holding their attention as the light from the noon sun starts to hit the deck of your ship.
Mercy steps out. She pulls the ruby out from her coat and presents it to the Pirate Congress, and perhaps regales them with a tale of a captain who hid the treasure from the crew. And when the crew was met with foul ocean beasts like we've never seen before, the captain did not emerge from his chambers, and the quote-unquote cook, first mate, did all he could to stop our progress against the monsters. Didn't want us to use supplies just because, you're a little protective over your brine? Anyways, what I am here to say is we, on the Guillotine, have the Shark Eye Ruby, And we have a crew that is unparalleled despite our leadership, and would like to demand a place in your Congress. I crush it.
You raise it in, and the light catches this ruby. It glows a brilliant, brilliant color. Red gleams on all the faces of the crew around you as it kind of spins around like a disco ball of red. And all of these captains are completely baffled and watching this happen as you crush it with relative ease, perhaps because of how, emotional this speech was for you. You crush it, and then as you open your hand, the bits fall to the deck below you, and you sit there and you stare at that same hand, waiting for this power. The power to finally take over the guillotine comes, and you wait, and you wait, and boots clunk clunk behind you, and you turn to see Lucky with a smile on his face.
Lucky grins a little bit sadistically at you, Mercy, standing there like an idiot with the crushed ruby dripping from your hands. He says, Barnum, for a while there I thought you had the makings of a great pirate. Perhaps you could have been at home on the guillotine. But there's no place here for low-life, slobbering, useless mutineers! And the cabin door bursts open, and Captain Hookeye storms out onto the deck wearing one long black leather boot.
It's changed in appearance from what you have seen, Jory. It is now actually come to fit on Hookeye. What was a dusted, tattered boot now looks reinvigorated and new. Everyone, wide-eyed, knows exactly what this is. And what this is the boot of Jenny Lynch. And here's my flavor text. Jenny Lynch was a pirate captain of legend. At a time when the seas were especially divided and blood constantly polluted its waters, Jenny, after losing one too many companions to the violent and reckless pirates of her time, changed. What was a soft face twisted into a perpetual scowl, and she steeled her resolve and proved to be more devious, violent, and merciless than any other that took to sea. Jenny crushed all beneath her boot, and in her later years, when she utterly ruled the seas, it was said that she commanded the waves and the beings residing inside of it. Through all the friends and loved ones that populated the bottom of the sea, rotting corpses in the hundreds, if not thousands, they shared in Jenny's rage. An undead army at the bottom of the sea. It is said that should someone of steadfast resolve don the boots of Jenny Lynch, they too can tame the violent sea itself. And Hookeye is donning said boot. He stares at you, Mercy, and though Lucky showed contempt, he does not show you contempt. As Hookeye just wants a better future for everyone that is on this ship, it is true. He says to you, Mercy, I do not hold you accountable. Were I younger, I would have done the same thing. In fact, I praise your resolve. And I think, should you want it, you'll have a very bright future here on the guillotine. Speaking of, I think our future is about to get much brighter. And you see these captains on the 6 captains that encircle you. Those same black, dark men and women, they are crawling up the sides of their ships, all of them. You hear screams and cries and curses and sounds of battle, and cannons and flintlocks erupt as you sit there in the still waters, the ripples from the rocking ships that are all encircling you, reaching you here and there. But for you, it is calm. For you all, you are currently ruling these seas as these captains scream and cry for help. What does anyone do?
I think Lucky has probably had could probably chalk up many of his misfortunes to run-ins with these pirate lords and ladies in years past. So I think he's happy to see them get a bit of a taste of their own medicine. He climbs up to the rigging, up to the crow's nest to get a good view, and he plays a haunting, upbeat, kind of the guy in the windmill from Ocarina of Time melody on his accordion.
Mercy, always the opportunist, gets in line behind the captain real quick.
Well, there's a particular thing that I think might interest Bug that happens here as well. They've now climbed up the side of the ship, and there is a somewhat of a fight pit that has come. This is the last bastion of what will now be, if no one stops Hooka, which seems to be the case, the old pirate society. And they don their sword, and Bug, here you are. As this captain, if Jesse can take the reins here, what do they say?
Pretty slick move getting the boot of Jenny Lynch. I didn't know you had it in you, Hookai, but is this the best you've got to go against me? A little measly bug?
I pull out my sword and I'm just like, see, everybody always gets stuck on the bug, but they forget that I am Bug Boucher. It means butcher.
Roll me a resolve. However, what I will say is that initial attack, especially because of how much they doubted you, as they hold their I guess it's a cutlass in their right hand, they kind of gesture to you while looking at Hookai with their left hand. And as they kind of look back to you, it's still floating there in a point, and you completely sever this finger, and they go, "Wow!" And and this fight commences.
I want to roll legend.
You know what? Actually, that's I think that's a fair argument, because I think that this is a feared, acclaimed pirate captain who you are not giving any ground to. So I think that's fair.
It's an 8. Bug, I think, lives up to their full name. This person showed no respect for me and my skill, and what starts with a finger doesn't end there.
As I've heard it said.
And Bug just takes like more and more.
Imagining like Julianne.
Julianne.
It's
the finger bone's connected to the hand bone, and the hand bone's connected to the arm bone.
Yeah, like a little. Death by 1,000 cuts, a little bit here. I think Bug just focuses on the one arm because he does want people to live to tell the tale of Bug Boucher.
So you slice and dice, death by 1,000 cuts, as you said. You're showing your adeptness. Every time that they try and come at you, you easily parry and just a nice narrow slice. But it's one that could easily have been fatal or anything of the sort. But you are humiliating this pirate captain, someone who is feared across the seas, someone who has looked down at both you and every single member of this ship for as long as you've been a part of it, and you've made an absolute fool of them.
Get in the lifeboat. Here's a single bottle of rum. Have fun trying to get back to like whatever ship.
Okay. You send them away on a lifeboat, and they float away, getting outside of this circle of ships. What you see is that all these ships have been they're gone. They've been sunk, save the Crimson one. What happens with this lovely Crimson one, which is quite beautiful, is these shadowy figures are actually steering it. They've basically eliminated everyone except for this captain, as you have now taken care of, and it pulls up next to the ship. And Mercy, and I suppose Bug, this ship is offered to you by Hookai, knowing that you were seemingly unhappy, and also after seeing these events transpire, he offers you this opportunity, as well as obviously safe bastion. For all intents and purposes, the Guillotine rules the sea now, not unlike Jenny Lynch did.
I'll take the ship. I don't know if very many people are going to follow me at this point, but
Bug's a bit of a legend now. Yeah.
I would love for Bug to follow me, but
I think Bug will follow because now they see that like they can have glory too.
I think we might even call the ship the Boucher.
Ooh.
Well, I actually think that you would both be a bit surprised that a number do come with you. They know that they fall under the umbrella once on the guillotine, always, part of the ship, part of the crew, or whatever. You guys fall under this umbrella. So, they know that they have that safety provided by Hawkeye. And they come with you because they like the ideals of Mercy, and Bug has both proven to be a capable fighter, protector, and dancer. So, it's
Total package.
really the trifecta, and is a stark difference to experiences with Hawkeye, who, though that one time he danced, for the most part, he just kind of locked himself up in his cabin and just kind of,
We're the party boat.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, this is the new party boat. That boat's for people who are no fun. I mean, the boot's pretty fun. The boot is pretty fun.
Lucky clatters down onto the deck of the ship, Bug, as you're making your way up the gangplank, and he says, "A word, Bug.
I
appreciate your making your own way in the world, and that's a mighty fine ship that you've earned fair and square in combat. Your new captain's, I think, a bit of a piece of work, but that's neither here nor there. I think she's right about one thing, though. One thing that spurred the guillotine on to greatness, and that was a bit of healthy competition." Lucky removes his hat and pulls a tattered piece of paper under it. He unfolds it, and he shows you a map, a treasure map, and he says, "Me and Hawkeye, we still got some treasures we want to seek, but we think it'd be a little bit more interesting." He rips the map in half and hands you one half of it and says, "If we had a bit of a race, first one to Captain Briny Beard's magic lost spectacles, finders keepers. Sound fair?"
Sure.
Yeah. Eat our bubbles.
Well, if there is anything else with that, how about we do as our kind of sign-off thing, when we do like a 5-year, 10-year gap time skip, where is everyone, what are they doing?
Sure. Bug, do you stick with me on the Boucher?
I think Bug comes and goes. Gotta see new people, learn new dances.
See what's on TikTok.
See what's on TikTok. Yeah. And just wants to make sure that they're really like making a name for themselves. So, they gotta pop into the taverns and, get up on the tables and tell the tall tales. And some of them are real, always heavily embellished. You find them now and again.
Mercy learned a very important lesson in humility. So she probably changed her tune pretty quickly and went from being
when she was in the position of someone who could be mutinied against.
Yes. But she also, I think, learned a bit of respect and ended up becoming a respectable captain, although maybe the nickname Mutinous Mercy stuck a little bit.
I kind of like that it maybe ends up as just a funny, this is you're kind of oh man, I was such a stupid kid and I tried to do a mutiny and please don't call me that, it really embarrasses me.
I like that too. Maybe my reputation is never completely recovered. Other than that, I'm just trying to win that race and have as much gold on my ship as I can.
Now, Lucky at the time of the actual game you're getting pretty old at this point.
Yeah, I'm getting old. I mean, Hawkeye is probably older than me though.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's maybe this was the day Lucky's fortune started to turn around. Decades of being loyal but suffering and agony on this ship have sort of paid off. So I don't know if Hawkeye retires and passes the guillotine along to Lucky.
Yep.
Well, then I do know that. Yeah, I stuck by my captain even when things were hairy, and I've proved myself, and so I get to strike out on my own. Maybe a little bit later in the game than most pirates get their start, but I think Harrison Ford was a carpenter until he was 37 or whatever.
Yep.
So it's that, but with pirates. And I think seeing Mercy mature as a captain, Lucky feels a little bit they get a more of a camaraderie because she's kind of proven, she's gotten over her sort of adolescent impulses, and now she's become a respectable captain. And they probably have a very nice time as like constantly trying to playfully one-up each other, the crews of these two ships, also piloted by intensely cursed shadow monsters.
And Bug always is like, see, I told you, it was about me. Now I got a whole ship of them.
Well, there's the tale of the Guillotine and its crew. What were, as I constantly said, a butt end of a joke, becomes the unprecedented rulers of the 7, you know what, canonically 8 seas. And it's a,
Whoa.
New sea.
Yeah, new sea. And sometimes strike fear, sometimes just maybe a good party. But overall, the Guillotine is certainly now forever a name to remember.
Thank you for listening to this installment of Many Realms, where we played Jewel of the Sea. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Realmscast. And if you're looking to take your Realmer card to the next level, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/manyrealms. I'll see you on the next one.